crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
Welcome into the blockchain basement on Discover Crypto. It's a beautiful Wednesday, beautiful on the charts. We are cooking up back to near all-time highs. Once again, we just hit $118,000. Finally, some almost perma bears are trying to find a place in their heart to be bullish on an asset class that is literally making everything else across the planet go to zero against it. That is Bitcoin. This is the black hole of finance that is swallowing the earth and the fiat currency system as we know it. And today we're going to talk about the U.S. government's escape plan out of a potential debt spiral into the new America, the fourth turning, something that's been talked about for quite some time. We're going to dive into it. I'm going to give you my blunt assessment of the situation at hand and clear up some misconceptions along the way. Welcome to the show. Holy cow, the blockchain basement chat is active as all get out. Discover Crypto. You're going to have to heat it up here. We got DCBC. Alden, good to see you. Hernanov, I'm never going to say your name. Hernanov. If I'm saying it incorrectly, just let me know in the chat, okay? I'm going to try every single day. Nicole, good to see you again. Nicole's actually just on the arena with me. We sent her some arena tokens yesterday. She showed up from the Discover Crypto / blockchain basement consortium, and we sent her some crypto in the chat, literally live on air. That is the cool part about the arena and the AVAX ecosystem. I think I got a link down in the description. If you want to go find out more about what I'm up to on the arena, you do have to follow me on Twitter first and foremost. Let's add it here at Druth Crypto. I wonder if I'm live right now. I wonder if I'm live on, give me a one in chat if I'm live. I don't know which one maybe I'll give it a refresh here because I think I went live. Oh, okay, there it is. There it is. Just a little bit of lag. But yeah, make sure to follow me at Druth Crypto. Get involved. There's lots of stuff that I'm up to on the AVAX ecosystem. We're hunting for Green October. Great meme dropped in our early morning Discord pre-market trading alpha over scope with Kelly Kellum. Obviously, the trading group get access to literally for free. And you can click the link in the description. So where me and Kelly, when we have something important to say, when we see big moments in the markets that we're coming up to, we'll go discuss those internally first thing in the morning. You can be in on that chat. A little more close quarters battle between minds on where the Bitcoin chart, the crypto markets are going. But let's check out crypto markets, see what they're looking like right now. Good to see Yvette. We have coin market cap showing a 4.03 trillion. So we are slightly above 4 trillion. Hey, that feels pretty good right there. $4,334 on Ethereum right now. Bitcoin 117.7, but as I said, we did spike up to that 118 mark, and the target from yesterday, chef's kiss, okay? Absolutely delicious. I love waking up and seeing patterns like this play out. I mentioned in the chat in Discord that AVAX trade that I got into ended up being absolutely ballistic. And I got stopped out for 130% upside. So it was a really good ride. I stopped paying attention to it after work. And just made sure to focus on the family time. But we did basically complete that entire projected move from yesterday's show. Incredible. Now we can go ahead and move these signals out of the way. We have now moved into what I've deemed yesterday as the turbulent zone. So we have hit that zone right now. I think we're going to have to fight for our right to party in this area. There's a lot of very violent historical volume that happened on Bitcoin when we first breached into this channel here. And this red box is kind of the concentration of that volume. And it ranges from 117.5 to 119.5. Smack dab in the middle of it is 118.5. Imagine that. But we tapped up to about 118.2, ran into a little bit of resistance. Generally speaking, though, the market is looking very, very bullish. And there's some news coming out from Massachusetts, potentially putting the fire under the federal government's tail, their rear end, to get started on this actual Bitcoin reserve. Pretty big news that's being underreported that we're going to go over on the show today. Also, the next God Emperor is going to be discussed. Who is that? You got to stay tuned to find out. And also, tiny altcoin projects that have really gathered all of the attention, all the limelight over the last few weeks. While things were a little bit slow, a little bit sluggish with Bitcoin and altcoins, these hot products are actually rolling back to levels where my greedy spot buying mind goes to. So we're going to talk about those. And I don't know if I want to get into the final part of this show. It might get me banned just immediately. So we'll see how that goes. But let's go check out liquidity. Let's go see where max pain levels are for traders in the life of leverage here. Very split on the 12-hour. It was kind of weird right before the pump this morning. It was a very dry liquidity ranges, and then immediately just started filling up here. So while I'm live, we're watching 116.5, but honestly, like, I'm going to be making my decisions not off of the liquidity map so much as I am, going to be checking out this old range right here. These moments right here, about 115.5 makes sense for a little tap. Check it, a little plate check to see if it is support. Bitcoin dominance, though, showing some good growth here. Bitcoin dominance playing out that weekly green dot, the altcoin maxis, and the altcoin holder in me feared so dearly. That green weekly dot did end up printing and playing out here. It was a little bit too early to call at the beginning of the week. I was saying it, but I mean, it's coming to fruition. So Bitcoin's trying to come back to party, right? And this is why my eyes in terms of trading are mostly on like Bitcoin, but there is a special place in my heart for Avalanche. I feel like Avalanche has got some good escape velocity being built up inside of it. So watching that, and obviously Ethereum here, same general structure, but has not played out this move by any degree yet, right? The inverse head and shoulders. So we're going to keep an eye on this. Ethereum is still lagging behind Bitcoin on the upswing, as you can imagine. But there's some crazy stuff I saw on the charts today. There's a DeFi AI agent on Coinbase that put up like 30% gains very, very quietly this morning. This is totally going to be part of our altcoin section, but it's still, even with that 30% gain, a perfect test of previous lows and set up to be a very, very bullish chart. So I'll get into that. Be careful out there trading as well. Use stop losses. They're your friend. $330 million worth of Bitcoin and Ethereum shorts were liquidated in the past 24 hours. That is a whole chunk of change. And I'm hoping that you were not caught up in that dip. I love these comments. Let's go through the comments. Which one am I chatting in? Jay Davis. I don't know. I got all kinds of chats. I think you're in the DC chat. Let's see here. Looks like I'm live. Cool. All ETF will be paying more. So all ETF will be paying more. Think Pradeep, please clarify. I'm thinking that you're thinking the ETF lack of enthusiasm might cause pain, dips in the altcoins. Win 150K from Fluffy the Sheep. Hello from across the pond, Fluffy the Sheep. Good to see you, Morgan Powell. Let's see here. Mika Toys. Let's see here. Did you miss a TikTok? But Solana's ecosystems are just so insane. Yeah, the A0MX is getting it. He's getting and maybe he or she, I don't know. I can't tell. You know what I'm talking about there. Tommy Marin, let's see here. Yesterday was a hard day with Isaac's last day. I'm not going to be beating around the bush. Having him go off, I mean, it's a tough day, It's a tough day. Shout out to you, Isaac, though. Shout out to you, Isaac. Now let's go check out this. We have just a little bit of context on the government shutdown. There is some hope with this government shutdown. If the government manages to stay shut down for 61 days, as reported, Trump will have the ability to fire 740,000 federal employees. Oh, yeah. This is the chunk of change that I would like to see. Federal workers, nearly 1 million fired. I mean, a government shutdown was bullish enough. Seeing this potential, I'm gonna have to change my shorts. This will not only drastically reduce the size of the government, but save the American taxpayer hundreds of billions of dollars. Let's see if we can just keep the discourse up. You know what I mean? Just keep the discourse up. Shut her down. Shut her down. You know what I mean? This is what I'd say to government shutdown. Celebration. You know, you're looking around for who's going to notice. No one's going to notice. No one's going to notice the government shutdown. Um, it is what it is. I remember when all the IRS agents were getting fired. People were like, think about it. Those people have job. Their job is to softly rob American taxpayers, right? And then go lose track of the money afterwards. That's also great. In terms of Bitcoin, though, crypto $9.3 trillion asset manager Vanguard considering offering crypto products to its clients, reporting from Bloomberg. I want to check out what Matt is trolling with here. Big move for Vanguard as it eyes crypto ETFs, Bitcoin back about 115K. MVRV Z-score holding key support at the 2 zone and momentum building across the market. Aster and XPL topping 10 billion. Aster and XPL are absolutely two projects that I'm watching. And it seems some pretty smart people that have given me very, very insane to consider, but sound advice when it really came down to it in the past. Matt Main is a good one. So I'm taking what he has to say seriously. Is the lore of Matt is last year, middle of last year, I was looking around for the December 23rd ish Bitcoin dominance breakdown. Now, what happened was we had an absolute psyop fake out, and that moment we did pull back pretty good, but then boom, Bitcoin dominance back. Really a feeling of extension to the markets comes into play. A staircase step up into the right for Bitcoin is, now that we have much more data on how this bull market has looked, this is a staircase to heaven for Bitcoin. And this is where I think a lot of the mechanics behind the 4-year cycle will indeed change. We are now a multi-trillion-dollar asset class, $2.3 trillion. It's a mountain of cash that is much harder to move up and down. And that being said, I'm thinking that the move down is lessened. It's not, in my opinion, going to be something like this 75% move from Pico top to bottom, 70K down to 15K that we saw last cycle. It's not going to be this 17K down to 3K move, 2.5K move that we saw the cycle before that. I actually think something much different is in store for the general Bitcoin 4-year cycle where the drawdowns are less. And I'm looking around the 50% move of wherever we end up feeling like we're topped out. I'm looking for that 50% move. So that is how I think things have systemically changed on the 4-year cycle. It's not a matter of if the mathematics of Bitcoin mining are the same or are they different. They're the same. You still get a halving every 4 years. You have that scarcity effect still very much in place. But I think that now that it's a more institutionally accepted and soon to be at a state level accepted and then a federally accepted form of value, I think that it stabilizes as we get into the multiple trillions of dollars market cap, right? Think about gold and the move that we just saw on gold. Gold needed a whole chunk of change. I mean, to move from I think $3,500 to $3,800, you're already $22 trillion in value. I mean, a few $1 trillion, right? That shows that a lot of interest is flooding into assets that hedge against fiat currency decline. The dollar has lost 11, 12% over the year's time frame. That is being noticed by big bags. They realize that. They're not stupid. Some pretty smart people are thinking that Bitcoin's actually going to hit $1 million. I'd say this is a easy thing to say for Telegram founder Pavel Durov, but he's predicting Bitcoin will reach $1 million. Now, for me, it's not a question of if Bitcoin hits $1 million, it's a question of when. And at the rate things are going, I feel that the dollar's doomsday really is going to be pushed out by stablecoin. I feel that the Treasury is going to enslave the stablecoin industry to the best of its degree to extend the life cycle of the US dollar. That is personally me, but in that, the potential for them utilizing those stable coins to then go and buy a bunch of Bitcoin, run the price up completely out of the grasp of the average person, remains very strong in my mind. Remains very, very strong in my mind. So, in my opinion, I'm thinking, $1 million Bitcoin at this rate, 2030, 2030, 4 years from now. It sounds like a long time, but honestly, if we're talking about being able to have access to something that could logically near 10x over the next 4 to 5 years, if we're even top blasting this current cycle, seems like an easy move for me. It seems like an easy move. And there's reasons why I'm making these moves. It's because the job market, the economy as it sits is absolute dog garbage. And I have 4 kids and a beautiful wife to provide for. So I am taking all the risks. I am treating crypto as my aggressive savings account, even in bear markets. Okay. It's not just because we're in a bull market that I'm this way. The US labor market is contracting though, and US ADP private employment fell down. It fell by 32,000 in September in 1 month, far below the expected gain. They expected it to be up 50,000. Instead, it's down 32, an 84,000, $83,000 difference. Oh God. August was also revised down by 57,000 jobs to negative 3,000. See, this is where all of these metric, like you could say, okay, they just screw it up every month. Or you could say they falsify to give a mirage of economic stability and kick the can further down the road for them to have to make hard decisions. It's kind of easy for me to decide which direction my logic leans in that regard. But this is absolutely crazy. The US private employment is actually contracting. The labor market at large, I mean, this goes back to 2021. This gives you a peek of what flu season shutdowns and then the re-implementation of it's okay to work, and you non-essential people, actually, I guess you can go earn your food. So they went back to work. This labor market is absolutely contracting. Like this looks like prime season. This looks like something that I'd see on a, you know, like a manipulated micro cap altcoin with like an insider group that just does insider trading to make it look alive. And then it goes back down into death zone. This is what this graph looks like, but this isn't one of the situations. This is our workforce, our payrolls. Now, with that being said, Bitcoin gives me hope because of the transparency. Also, crypto is offering to adjust the way that this data is shared to the US, right? Because we're talking about the government shutdown, and now they're talking about holding back some of the job data, and they're actually talking about controlling that information so that the markets don't react in a hot way, using the government shutdown as an excuse to hide the information. But crypto, like even Chainlink, is being offered and talked about by the White House to come in and share that economic data live time. And that is something I think would be really, really healthy for us. Do believe we're still on the shutdown. Chain swap. I want to go check out you still in chain swap. I haven't heard that one. So there was like X swap and then chain swap came out at the same time. I didn't buy it. I remember looking at it though, and I will look at that chart for you here in a bit. BR taxi. Now, Massachusetts might be starting off this Bitcoin strategic reserve in IRL. Massachusetts is holding a public hearing on October 7th to consider a bill that would recreate a state Bitcoin strategic reserve. It's the first US state to actually get a real vote scheduled, right? Not just a proposal. If one state decides to put Bitcoin on the balance sheet, then neighboring states that face immediate questions on why they're not protecting their treasury in the same way start to move in herds once the first commits. Massachusetts being that linchpin, moving forward with the first actual vote, and they're actually moving towards this vote with a velocity much faster than I'd say I've seen from any other state in the US. because I've been talking about it forever, how the federal government is going to likely allow other entities to start these strategic reserves first. And then, if I were a betting man, I think that we land between 150 to $200,000 on Bitcoin in this cycle. The US government continues talking about it, building framework out ability to actively buy in a budget neutral way, find out how that's actually going to happen. And then by the time we dip, by what I expect will be around 50%, whatever it may be, if we hit 150, 75, 200, 100, then they come in and start building that reserve out to that crash happen somewhere around 2027 into 2026. That's just what I feel from the time frames of what things have moved on so far from. Um, it's really kind of crazy though to be talking about Massachusetts being that linchpin and actually a state moving forward with it. Hopefully it works. Now this next subject, there's not many people in the world that give me the next American God Emperor vibes. Okay, there's not many people that do that, but Baron Trump is absolutely giving off those vibes. Okay, Baron Trump, 6'8", reserved. What is he, like 18? He walks around like a gentleman already. Public spotlight, and now he's got this building up in the background. Forbes come out claiming that Baron Trump is worth $150 million. Absolutely crazy. And they're talking about him making an estimated $80 million from token sales alone, with an additional $2.3 billion in locked up tokens. There's still and this is the crazy thing about what is going on right now with the Trump family is that World Liberty Fi being led up by the Trump sons. I mean, Trump's almost setting up like a dynasty of the next absolute monetary oligarch of the US and really the developed world by doing this. And this is a good comment here. 42 likes. Smash the likes. We Are Crypto can do better. Smash the likes. Appreciate you, Andy. It is crazy to think about what will happen monetarily if, Baron, Eric, we know we've seen them stacking big bags of not just Bitcoin, altcoins, right? Pretty darn good altcoins as well. The likes of, Chainlink, even, World Liberty 5 picked up that Ondo, Ethereum. They've been unshy about their layering into crypto. If this ends up playing out, man, I mean, Baron Trump is what is that? Isan Al-Gaib, right? From Dune. I mean, that's potential. That's an absolute potential there. So just keep a radar on it for the next 10, 20 years, see where that ends up. Also, Midnight, part of the ADA ecosystem, Midnight collaborating with Google Cloud, it looks like, working on accelerating privacy first infrastructure and advanced zero knowledge technology. Sure you are, right? Like I'm going to have any privacy from Google Cloud as essential infrastructure for the next generation of digital systems. One thing that's kind of nuts about this is they tagged Google Cloud and didn't get banned. So they're, if they're allowing this post to remain out there, obviously there's something being built in the background to the size and degree to be determined. Cardano is one of those maddening situations where the most decentralized proof of stake system cannot find the pumpamental support that we see with a lot of other different coins. And sometimes you get punished for being involved with good utility early. Sometimes that does happen. I've seen it. It is, yeah, exactly. Lasers, pew pew, Google privacy. Yeah, right. Now, this is an interesting altcoin list I wanted to check out here real quick. This influencer, I don't really follow him too much. Honestly, I don't think I follow him at all, but yeah, I just came across it on my timeline here. Ondo, Link, Avantis, Aster, stable. Now, I'm not feeling this last one stable too much. You know what I mean? Like it is a stable coin infrastructure play. The graph very lackluster. Aster's new, so the graph being lackluster like counts against it less because it is so new. Avantis Avantis and Aster are two that are very much so on my radar. Obviously, Chainlink and Ondo. The whole Ondo situation, um, incredibly bullish background, people involved, products being built with BlackRock, being able to be the like one of the first movers in tokenized treasuries. Um, where's the pump? You know what I mean? Like I'm looking around, like all this bullish news, and we're literally tokenizing Wall Street, you guys. 2 quadrillion in derivatives. Anyone? Anyone? And there's no real fever pitch going on there. You know, I'm just, I'm looking at it. Like I hold on though, but yeah, it's just something that's interesting. So out of this list, if you had to only be able to hold one of these tokens or buy, let's say you're only buying one of these tokens. For me, I'm kind of leaning towards something like Aster or Avantis right now. I mean, I know Link, but it's at 20 something bucks, it's too expensive for my taste. Avantis or Aster, and I'm talking about holding into this, because we got, as things sit right now, I feel like we're set up for a very, very bullish environment moving towards the end of the year. Had it up earlier, but we got to go check it out because there's a very strong, very strong expectation of 2 more interest rate cuts. So October and December, we have 28 days till the next FOMC, and it's a 99% likelihood of a cut in October on the 29th. And then the 10th of December is the final one of 2025. And again, it's nearly 90% expectations of another 25 base points. So this is setting up for a very bullish end of the year. And I'm kind of liking these new type projects that don't have, and then another one is XPL, right? And this is XPL, like just came out. This thing is backed by Tether, and I haven't gotten any of it, but I've just been learning about it and thinking about it. The market cap very, very low. I do also want to look at this Mamo, this DeFi agent on Coinbase that it's a $29 million market cap. And we were able to cover that it was going to come out before it even came out. Right. So like the graph, regardless, doesn't bother me, but I have a little bit of it. I'm seeing this retest of this low at about 4 cents. Now it's already essentially doubled from there, but you got to keep in mind it's a micro cap. This is where I feel like this moment might feel pretty decent for a little bit more mammo, a little bit more man. And on these newer charts, like I see them like they took the limelight for like a week and a half and now they're dying down. But the amount of backing that Aster has from Binance, I just don't see Binance. Like if Binance decides, all right, we're going to be willing to push like 10%, 15% of our people onto this DEX perp just for the, the fees, the value there. Dude, I mean, this thing it could do very big numbers. People underestimate Binance all the time. This is kind of a funny post though. Star Platinum manipulation found inside of Aster. Here's what's happening. Aster shows red flags. Insider manipulation, 85% of supply concentrated in 6 official multi-sig wallets. Got ratioed pretty hard here, and he's calling out it by all means. Like if you're looking at this, oh my God, it looks like it's going down. This is a brand freaking new project with like 2 weeks of data on it. Coming back down and testing this W pattern is a minimum expectation for me when I see a graph like this. And this is pretty funny. This response, one address alone holds 44% of the supply, BNB chain Aster contract, yada, yada. That does indeed match your claim. The big wallets exist on a repeatedly cited multiple on-chain sleuth posts. List these addresses here and describe them as proxy treasury multi-sig. Labels, team, safe proxy, community labels, not official. Treasury BSC scan. So it looks like they basically just have an ass load of tokens in a treasury, and they have internal incentive to cook those books to the absolute moon because of the size of that treasury. That's how I see that, right? That's how I see that. Oh yeah, let's see. I gotta love when people don't throw a timeline on targets. I hope I was clear about that. So my target is Q1 of 2026. They hit between 150 to 200,000. I do think we still have gas in the tank to get there. And then the pullback is hard for me to decide upon because it could just be like that chunk, lose a level, be like the reverse stair step for a bit with a diminished downside. You guys are reminding me about Aerodrome as well. I know we peaked our head under $1 on Aerodrome. Been a while since I bought Aerodrome. It was like 50 cents the last time I felt like doing it, but I will go check out the chart because I'm in a shopping mood. I mean, you can tell after that AVAX trade, I am in a shopping mood. 21 shares SWE ETF and Polkadot ETF are now listed on the DTC platform as well. Don't really know if we can account any sort of price moves related to this, but we got to go check out SWE first and foremost. $3.46. Very nice structure. Very nice structure. New project. It's beautiful. It's only up 100% since it released too. Jesus. Mary Joseph. Let's check it out. Caspa. Check out Caspa as well. Let's look at Polkadot. Let's look at the ETF. Yeah, I mean a little bit. They got 9% on it. We're getting some juice breaking out of this little dippity dip. Nice. All right. Polkadot. Let's go check it out. These are kind of vibe checks, plate checks on our coins, right? Plate checking our coins is important. Right on the top of this channel makes a lot of sense right there. $4 still though, right? I mean, they got like a 6% pump, but most of the market pumped. And I'm trying to dig out. A lot of these altcoins are looking like this, where they're like, all right, I'm done being beat down. Kind of what the altcoins are looking like. And this is like when we're seeing the altcoins trying to fight back, we need to keep a close eye on Bitcoin dominance. And Benjamin Cowan was talking about 60%. We saw like how much behind Ethereum is from Bitcoin on the latest pump out. And, Bitcoin's kind of leading the charge right now. And this is with a tiny move up. But Benjamin Cowan's talking about 60% reclaiming, that's some problems for altcoins for sure. So we'll see how that plays out. Also, Plume, it looks like got SEC approval as a registered transfer agent. And this guy misspelled this Amejat milestone. This is one of his many posts. I was looking for the actual Plume posting here for it, but I could tell that it was proceeding because Plume was they put their team up in Washington D.C. to meet with the SEC Crypto Task Force and the Treasury, and they were talking about, let's see, it reads the blockchain ecosystem, yada yada, enhancing crypto capital market competitiveness. So it's the same stuff. It's all about getting in front of the bigs. I think that they're doing a good job of doing so, and then they end up with this acknowledgement from the SEC. Plume is a very, very small project to be getting things like this. So I actually want to go back to the charts. Geez, we're already almost at 10 cents again. Yeah. It's moving quick. They grow up so faster. Yeah, still down by 8% on the week, though. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm in the mood where I like Plume. I think it's undervalued. I think things are distracting right now. Seeing moves like what they just got at the SEC puts them a little bit ahead of the other competition. Aerodrome. Let's go to Aerodrome. Let's go to Aerodrome. I'm imagining 99 cents. Let's see here. $1.08. Oh, snap. All right. There we go. Okay. All right. So we got a 10% move. We're seeing some life here. Again with that same pattern. See that? Aerodrome, God, I mean, it's just a programmed walk upstairs right now. Do you see this thing on the larger time frames? Holy good googly moogly. Look at this. Would you just? Good Lord. Okay. Holy cow. Yeah, Aerodrome, it looks like it's ready for some serious retribution. Serious retribution. In where Aerodrome can land, I still am looking like $5 billion peak for Aerodrome would be kind of like a a diminished expectation. It's sitting at about $1 billion right now. Number 82, definite juice in the crypto market tank to see the top 180, these really deep picks. As long as they keep the lights on and relevant during the bull market, there's plenty of juice for basically most of these to 5x. It's about making sure that you're not involved with a project that has really bad tokenomics, right? Drew, that post was a bit early, not approved yet. Oh, well, they're getting ahead of it. And you know what? I mean, Vet, what's your opinion on Plume? You've been doing DeFi on Plume. See a lot of conversations about RWAs. I just feel like the railway is being built, but we're not quite there yet. Like, is Plume, something that just being slept on? That's why the price is down, right? I want to get your take because I know you've been dealing with the Plume ecosystem pretty closely. I got a little bag, but I bought it. I was able to get it low, so I'm not too bothered by the price swings. Now let's go check this out. This is kind of nuts. I saw Brian Armstrong was memeing the banking cartel. So banks can compete with crypto companies that pay rewards. How can they do this, right? Ban stablecoin rewards, ask for a bailout, or offer a competitive savings rate, and the guy offered with the reasonable idea gets kicked out of the building there. This is the setup on banks and their just bloodthirsty wish to control monetary movement here in the US. The advent of stable coins is something I feel banks are going to have to get used to because the treasury sees a golden goose and they're going to take advantage of it. Shout out to Alex O Crypto. Good to see you in the chat. Everyone, Alex O live every morning. It's just kind of insane to see this. And now it's like there's an existing infrastructure of money as we know it, and things like Chainlink that communicate, that choose to be intermediaries of what exists to what's to come, are where I am the most bullish. Chainlink, it completed a UBS pilot the same day Swift announced a basic blockchain ledger build out, right? A settlement layer. Link, it is this oracle. It provides $150 trillion in annual payment flows, right? So it's delivering an immense amount of payments data. The UBS pilot happened very under the radar over the course of the last 2 days, and it actually scales to production. So this is something that's happening in the background with Chainlink. It makes me insane thinking about Chainlink only being $20 when literal, massive, systemically important banks are doing test transactions the same day that Swift itself announces blockchain intention and ledger build out. This is Link trading at like an $8 billion fully diluted valuation, providing infrastructure for a payments network that is worth around 19,000 times that size, right? This is something that I've really had to come to terms with. It's like, what do banks build? They know how to build ledgers, but they don't build oracles, right? This is where something I think about all the time on where the missing pieces of how this Web3 world's going to actually come into play. These are things I think about. So those are things to think about. Let's see. I want to go through this. You want to take profits, but you have FOMO, Allie? I know the feeling. I know the feeling. Mika Toy's looking for meme season. I mean, meme season, I'd argue, is sort of going on. And I think a meme season is like sort of going on. It's not like in full effect yet. So you don't get the massive clickbait, the photoshops of $5 to $1 million, those types of things. Another project that I'm thinking about is Linea. I want to go to Linea, and I have not moved on the purchase of this yet. Right, it's very stable, flat, placid water right now. But this was the consensus-backed blockchain that Swift announced it was going to be working alongside. It processes live corporate payments, right? So this is for clients like JP Morgan and the Swift rails. This is not a test net. Moving into actual production, and Arbitrum does the DeFi TVL. Base has the Coinbase retail. This is this is a coin or a consensus. I keep wanting to call them coin census. This is a consensus insider play. And that's just my opinion of it, right? So when I approach this, like I don't see massive juice in terms of like volume or trading, but it is a potential token to be plugged into utility. So I'm taking a small stab at, it, right? In terms of size of my portfolio, it's going to make up, 1%, about the size of a leverage trading account. But I am interested. You know what I mean? It's got my attention. And so this reminds me, what we're going to be doing in terms of trading. Obviously I'm still doing kind of stronger leverage trades, high confluence trades. Those calls still going in the Discover Investments Group Discord. But also I'm going to be hopping in here and taking advantage. I'm going to go through the test process and go through this process with you of breakout, because the design of breakout is I really appreciate how you cannot use extremely high leverage right off the bat, and you can kind of choose which levels you want to go after. So like for me, like when I say 1% of my portfolio as a risk spot hold for Linea, the same level of my willingness amount to go leverage trade with around 1%, maybe if I'm feeling frisky 2%. This is a great way to use that, say 1%. You have to take a test, and the test, let's say for a $5,000 account, cost $60, right? In the test, you can only have a max daily loss of 4%. Your goal to pass a test is to make $500, and you get 90% of the profit share, right? You pull the money out the same day of. So you pass a test, you put your skills to the test, and then you get access to a $5,000 account of actual money to trade with. You take up to 90% of those profits. You just cannot use more than 5x leverage, up to 5-to-1 leverage ratio. This is something that I think would be very, very useful for people to start understanding how to do. I think the ways that people are going to need to discover and need to expand their education on to make money are going to greatly increase, because a, a massive amount of millionaires, billionaires, what side is that? Oh yeah, this is Breakout Prop, and we have a special discount code that's very hard to get. Code DISCO, capital DISCO. So code DISCO, breakoutprop.com, and you can get your discount. I'm going to be hopping in there doing the trade. I can't decide if I want the $50,000 or the $100,000 one, but going in there and going through it with you, because actually I think people get FOMO when they see an amazing trade. They go into leverage, they use way too much leverage, they have no idea what the hell's going on, what cross leverage is, what isolated leverage is, and they get wrecked, right? And I think that the vast majority of us that are smart enough to be in crypto and knowing what's coming anyways are smart enough to use these tools effectively. That's what I would think. So a little bit of drama has popped up from AIXBT on this Hyperliquid NFT craze. It's a Hyperliquid core team. They awarded themselves 143 of these hyper NFTs. These had zero vesting, zero cliff, right? Just here you go, folks. The floor price on these NFTs hit $470,000 a piece. $67 million in immediate liquidity for insiders. Community farmers with 6 months of locked rewards had to watch team members flip NFTs for $500,000 a piece. The founders can extract $67 million day one and choose to sell instead of hold their pricing in the top themselves. Something to watch out for there. Something to watch out for there. $500,000 per NFT, no cliff, no vesting, just dump, right? Absolutely brutal. And I think learning how to trade, learning when to take profits, setting financial goals for myself are something very, very important. I feel that the economy, when you really pull back the layers of the onion, is sick and dying, and a major change to the dollar is coming. Usually changes. Think about this. The last time we decided what the world reserve currency is and is today, the petrodollar, you never hear them throwing the petrodollar name around anymore. It took World War II to be decided and won for the next world reserve currency to be set in place. That is nearly 100 years ago, right? We talk about the fourth turning, 80 to 100 years, massive decision level wars for the United States every 100 years. We are literally lining up on multiple different metrics, not only with the economic data showing stagflation, but a, a reckoning of a degree I still am comprehending and soaking in all the information alongside you here day to day. It's setting up for a a pretty crazy cataclysm, if you ask me. Now, the silent explosion going on in America's payday debt market, payday lending market, America's quietest boom. Lending ecosystem in the US operates like a shadow subprime market, subtly expanding, but built on precarious foundations, right? So people are they're using these payday loans. And I don't mean to smile or laugh, but it's just like this is so much less predatory on chain with Aave, Morpho, like this is what crypto is built for, is so that organizations like this could be usurped. But instead, what we see, the average person is actually increasing their usage. Each 2-week loan carries a 15 per $100 fee, equating to APR of nearly 400%. Payday lenders now generate more than $9 billion in fees annually. Hey, Crypto Cody, appreciate you joining us on the Discover side as well, my friend. Good to see you in the chat. Good to see you in the chat. Crypto Cody with the most illustrious of profile pictures. Good to see you. So this is talking about these organizations no longer being limited to the corner store operations. They've expanded into fintech platforms, right? We see Web 2 versions of payday loans coming out. Digital dispersion offers a faster access, but even less regulatory visibility. And they're trying to do this on Web 2 before the DeFi and the lending gets discovered in Web 3. And that's my personal take of it. They're rolling this out at light speed, deeper into high cost credit loops and compounding systemic risk. Opaque credit streams running beneath conventional oversight should be viewed not as benign consumer convenience, but as a fragile systemic subprime bubble waiting to burst, right? And this is where, hopefully DeFi and lending on crypto are able to be regulatory implemented sooner than later. Because if the potentials that we saw go down in 2008 compound themselves and the real house of cards that sits above our heads in national debt comes down, it's a reckoning. I don't even know where the end of it is. I feel like it's a collapse up. I feel like it's a hyperinflationary collapse up, insane moment. But the balance of how much our bread cost, how much our Bitcoin's worth needs to be taken into that account. We want good, concise growth. Buff of the Sheep is saying something. UKistan. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Fluffy the Sheep. That is, you'd probably delete that and you might get arrested. Oh my God. Get him! Fluffy the Sheep in the chat. Get him! Gosh damn. UK's coming to get you, man. That is so insane that some of my peeps out there are having to think about that. Like, am I going to be arrested for what I say online? Right? Absolutely crazy. Self-banned. I mean, the UK government's doing this one.
You are banned.
Jesus. Hopefully that's not what the UK looks like after. Now, all right. There is something to be discussed as technology moves forward. Something that's been on my mind, it's like AI and the generation of videos. It seems like a fun tool, but the post that this was a response to from Autism Capital actually got deleted, right? But what it was is a visual representation of public shaming through a digital means, AI generated content. Autism Capital responds with, it's 100%. There will be cases of people who gave their entire lives face body towards being a vessel for others to generate AI videos with and to live vicariously through those videos. So, and when I stopped to pause about that, I'm like, well, maybe that makes them lack to take actual action and experience real things in real life if they can just consume AI created content, right? Maybe a lack of initiative could come from this. People will be able to drive other people to insanity or even self harm at the most negative, or build them up to be a world famous star at the positive end of the spectrum, and control that person's entire psychology with crowdsourced video generation. Now, it sounds like a hyperbolic statement, but what do we see in what do children want to be more than? It used to be that a child wanted to be an astronaut. Now they want to be a YouTuber. They want to be an influencer, right? It's so weird for me to see this happening because I've been a researcher that just ended up talking publicly about my crypto experience. People come up to me, they're like, "You're an influencer." I'm like, I feel like more like a public researcher. It's insane to see the drive to be an influencer outweigh wanting to be an astronaut and go explore other planets. But that's where we are right now, and I could see this being a very, very powerful tool to build people up and then cut them down systematically. He's talking about it here. People will then gamble on prediction markets on the outcomes of these type of events. An example, bringing someone up to great heights just to short them and tear them down. Future is going to be crazy. Going to be a lot of psychological damage that's created. The DSM is going to need a whole new section of new mental illness that are going to arise. Just some food for thought. We're heading into a weird future, right? I know the technology is exciting. There's all kinds of cool new projects I'm looking at. There's great upside to be made, but culturally, we must remain based as we see these technologies being built out. Our voices matter. The cultural acceptable levels of operation matter. Um, this is how we prevent chaos, right? By keeping order at a local level. Um, Yesterday, this is just absolutely insane. Trump speaking in the military leadership about the N word today. I can't even play what he said. This is a crazy time to be alive. There's no lie about that. I love and appreciate every single one of you, and I really appreciate Crypto Cody for dropping those memberships too, as well. You don't have asylums anymore, and you know what? The U.S. could use way more asylums as well. Make mental asylums great again, right? That is something that we don't have. So, Trump is so unhinged. Yeah, absolutely. I hope that you guys are doing well on this Wednesday. We reclaimed some levels that I really, really wanted to see for Bitcoin. I feel like the price movement that we saw over the last 24 hours is some of the more important price action that we've seen in a outlook of continuation of this bull market. This is on the weekly time frame. The juicy buy zone still remains. The turbulent zone here, which we are just under. But this moment really is a defining factor, because if we do fail at breaking out, this will develop a head and shoulders type pattern, right? If price comes back down and smacks its head on 100K, this will make a head and shoulders type pattern with this interesting little camel hump preceding it, right? But if we look back at markets of the past, I'm looking at this camel hump, head and shoulder, down to the target low from the distance of that head neckline to peak, which brought us down to 15K, right? So this is the great unknown. DCA and Prey thinks it's over. I disagree, but you know what? There's a case to be made of why bears are looking at that potential. And this week and next week matter greatly when it comes to seeing that price action hold above 112K. We need to see this price action hold above 112K. Catching the CME gap, man. I mean, that sets up droopiness, right? So that sets up droopiness. This next few weeks, we have to really, really be locked in. I don't want to, freak anyone out, but paying attention in this season, very, very important, right? Very, very important. DCA and Prey, and shout out DCA and Prey. But we need I'm going to roll out some segments of the show. I was thinking Player Hater of the Year awards might be in order. Also, I was kind of thinking about maybe a Mexican obituary moment. I'm coming up with different segments. I've got ideas. I'm going to be rolling them out there. Love and appreciate every single one of you out there. Stay based, and I will see you on the next episode, guys.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.